Intersectionality is a very important concept in current critical theory, current sociological studies, and cultural studies, and especially in fields like feminism, gender studies, race studies. Those which are related to identity politics. The concept was introduced by a feminist called Kimberly Crenshaw. She found that the traditional feminist formulation of the first world feminism was inadequate in explaining the marginalization and oppression and suppression of women, basically, which saw it only in terms of man and women, in general, universal man and universal women. As we know, the first wave feminism's watershed book is Beauvoir's, Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex. So women are not born but made women, etc., etc. But then, do women of color, that is, women from Africa or women from India, have the same kind of oppression or face the same kind of oppression that a first world or white woman faces? Definitely not. So we have concepts like double marginalization of African women. Recently, in the Indian context, people have been talking about triple marginalization of Dalit women. The Dalit women, they are made secondary to Dalit men, then general, Indian men, and then they are tertiary to the European men, the first world men. So that way it goes on and on, like Plato's theory of double or triple removal from truth. So that is, only gender cannot be taken into account as the main determining factor of marginalization and otherwise. Now look at it from another perspective. Though it is said that aggressive or extreme feminists say men torture or harass women, that is the general truth. But if we look deep into it, can a man, for example, belonging to a Dalit community, can he oppress or harass or even talk back to a woman from a higher caste or class? Very difficult, cannot. So the other side is also there. Or, for example, in a state where a particular community is a dominant community and a community is a minority, another is a minority community. So definitely in that world, even men from that minority community will have lesser power than the women in the dominant community. That's why there were at times there are calls given by Dalits that women should join. Women from higher caste, upper caste, should join the Dalits against what they call Brahminical patriarchy. I do not know, I'm not very sure about this term. Anyway, I think you have understood that only talking about men oppressing women is a very limited term, and anyway is a very limited vision. We have to see the man's not only gender but race, economic background, the class that he belongs to. And I believe in this regard Marx is very, very important. The class, in India it may be caste, but then globally it is class. In India also all high castes do not belong to high class. Anyway, class is a global factor. So if you belong to or get into a higher class, then definitely you will be more powerful in spite of your different kinds of other disabling backgrounds. So let us talk about, say for example, a chief minister. I don't want to name the head of a state. Basically, women, then again from Dalit community, double marginalization. But can a caste, upper caste man or even upper class man talk back to her? Definitely not. So that's why these generalizations these things do not work. They do not give us a subtle view of things. So as people say in science basically does not generalize. We have to look at it from case to case point of view. Here, all in humanities, we need some broader generalization. Science generalizes after studying a lot of cases, and here we cannot study because every individual human being is a case. So instead of saying or instead of seeing things only in terms of gender binary or race binary or colonialism binary, we combine things. So we have to see the intersectionality. Dwarkanath Tagore was an Indian, but he was the only Indian, Rabindranath's grandfather. He was invited to dine with Queen Victoria in the same table. No other Indian was given that pride of place or place of pride. Why? Because he was prince, he was very rich. His son Devendranath and Rabindra, they were not rich. There was a dwindling in the asset of the family. Anyway, so though he was a native, quote unquote, or Kala Admi, quote unquote, as you may have seen in the film Lagan. So they were Dwarkanath was given that. So class becomes a determining factor. Though Marx was very right, I think. Of all the factors, class is very important. Now, but again, here you see Victoria is a woman, Dwarkanath is a man, a colonized man. But colonized man is subservient to a woman from the colonizing community, that to the queen. So that's why we should come out of this simplistic formulation, you know, that men are more powerful than women or women are less powerful than men, or colonizer and colonized, Dalit or non-Dalit, so on and so forth actually. So because we have to take the entire picture, that's why this Kimberly Crenshaw's concept of intersectionality is very important. In some other ways, Amartya Sen also spoke about this in his Identity and Politics, but in some different ways. I will talk about it in a different video. Now you can relate this to my yesterday's lecture about ecological imperialism, where colonization and ecological criticism, rather ecological criticism and colonial criticism, they intersect. So intersectionality from intersect, there can be many things, intersectionalities. Say I'm supposedly a man, but not only a man, I speak a certain kind of language, that is my one identity as first tongue, that is Bengali, I'm Bengali man. Then I work at a certain place, that is my another identity. All these different kinds of things have to be taken into account in assessing my vulnerability as well as my power potential. So this is Mike is just an example. Every case is like that. So we should not generalize, but apply intersectionality in the cases, then come to proper conclusion. That was today's topic. This is very important for all semesters, all students, though it is not formally included in our course right now. But we have this liberty in higher education, not limited by course, but having associated discourse on things that really matter.